guy asked to speak or not, I consider a dear friend. Knowed him for, well, he come in, I think we come in about the same time, and had the same sponsor for a while, and we went to a lot of meetings together. He used to go to mini conference over there at Muncie, and we always had a good time. Knew all the same people, and I was thinking about one thing. I went up to him one time and I asked him if he knew of anybody that was good in construction work. Well, I didn't, and he sent his two boys over. Well, I didn't know anybody from Adam, and I'll tell you what, most respectful people I ever met in my life, and they did me a good job, and that all reflects back on Joe as far as I'm concerned. And I couldn't have went wrong, and they was very, very, very good, conscientious people, and I contribute to parenting. And with that, I give you Joe V. from Bern.
I'm Joe, alcoholic and addict. Joe. I'm sober tonight through the grace of my higher power, the 12 suggested steps in you people. And like Gary would always say in his lead, I'd rather be sober than drunk. And you know, thinking back, I knew I was going to die an alcoholic death, and the sad part of it, I was okay with that. I mean, I didn't care. And just tonight I was looking around the room, and it seems like all the old timers that was here when I first came around aren't here anymore. Ralph Hillsman and Dick Alexander, Tom Ross, Tom Downing, Aubrey Tyson, Bill Patton. Well, Gary was here, and his sponsor Ron was here. And hardcore alcoholics. I mean, I remember, I was just thinking tonight, one time I gave a lead here in Coldwater, and after the meeting, I dropped his name. He, what was his name? Just had it. Anyhow, he came to me, and Gene Yount, and he came to me and shook my hand, and he said, that was a hell of a lead. He said, you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to be okay. And that was the last time I seen Gene Yount. But a lot of them old timers. And I was just thinking about Aubrey Tyson. I used to go there a lot, go for meals, and go for Bible studies, AA. We had a lot of fun. I ate a lot of meals there. And Aubrey, he was an atheist when he first came in these rooms. And he was the most spiritual person I ever seen. And everybody liked Bill Pat, liked him. And I really want to thank Leo for asking me down here. It's not my cup of tea to give leads, but he was down, gave a lead for me in Bern. Gary was talked here in Bern, and we appreciated that. And so they asked me, and I said I would, and I about messed that one up. Anyhow, the big book says that our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. And when it comes to giving a lead, I think that's a humbling experience to get up here and talk about my episodes and about me. And I was a liar, cheating, a thief, and I was a drunken bum. And nobody should go through what I put my wife and kid through. Nobody. It was horrible. And it's just, it took every drink and drug to get me where I'm at today. And I have to give AA the thanks for that and my higher power. And we was 6 kids, 3 boys and 3 girls, and I was the middle son. I had a brother younger and a brother older than me, and then 3 sisters, and I was the only alcoholic out of the family, but there was also a lot of love in our family. My mom, she loved to drink, and my dad loved to bitch. And me and my dad had a horrible, horrible relationship. I mean, it was horrible. And I always said I'd never be like my mom was, but I was lots worse. And it just, I had my first drunk was at the age of 17. And I blacked out, I passed out, I puked, and came to, and I started drinking again, and puked some more. And that evening there was a party, so I went to that party and I started drinking, and I got drunk again. And the next morning I didn't even know how I got home on my first drunk. And that should have told me something, but I remember thinking I'd love to do that again. And I mean, that should have told me that I got a problem with alcohol. And even I didn't get drunk the next day or the next week. I got drunk the next time I had a chance, a good chance. And it just, my alcohol, it advanced pretty fast. Even us alcoholics, we know how to find them. And my first job was an alcoholic's dream. My boss, he loved to drink. And after a long day, we'd go to the bar, and he'd always take company money and buy all our drinks. And it just, I worked there for over 5 years, and we spent a lot of money on booze. And after I quit there, I went to a roof contractor, and he loved to drink just like I did. And we'd work till 2, 3 o'clock, and we'd head to the bars, and he'd always pay it. And that's was day in and day out, and I just kept going. And there's a lot of things that happened in my life. I went through a lot of relationships, and I was used to going to parties, and I'd hear them say, "Well, here comes a drunk," and it didn't bother me. I didn't care, but and a lot of times, here comes the drunk again. And I had friends, at that time I had friends that asked me, why you lie so much? And a lot of times they'd ask me, how's come you drink so much? And I didn't know why. I couldn't tell them. I couldn't answer that question. But I'm an alcoholic. I know that today, and that's just the way I drank. And I was going with a girl one time. Well, the one girl, she said, when she quit me, she said, you're a very nice guy, but you drink too much. And one time I had another girlfriend, and I went to a Saturday night party, and of course I got drunk. I blacked out. Somebody hauled me home that night, and I left her set at the party. And the next night I went again to another party, and she happened to be there, and she walked up to me and she said, Joe, you're an alcoholic. You need help. And that hurt. They called me an alcoholic. And it's just the way it was, and that was the last of her. But, you know, I went through relationships, and they quit me. I didn't care. I thought there's more girls out there. And like you say, I did a lot of crap. And then I found me another girl. She lived in LaGrange, and we had a relationship, and we actually did get married that time. And sad to say, but on my wedding night, I just got sinful drunk. I mean, I didn't even know who the people was that showed up for my wedding or anything, and that's sad. And that's just basically how my life went. And I got into the horse jockey business, and that was a joke. That one horse jockey that'd come, he'd always bring whiskey along, and of course I'd drink everything he'd give to me, and he always made a seal too. But I know many, many mornings I went out, came to, and went out in the barn, and there was a new horse there, and I had no clue what it was. I had a lot of kickers and balkers, and some that ran away for me, and that business didn't pan out, and it just I had a very good job. The job I had for over 43 years. But my boss, towards the last, my boss would say a lot that you're drinking again. You drink a lot, Joe. And one Sunday afternoon, I mean, the last 2 years of my drinking, I never took a sober breath. I mean, I just I just drank like an alcoholic does, and one Sunday, this is towards the last of my drinking, but one Sunday, uh, I thought, well, I'm going to go see how my dad's doing, and that was a joke. And I got there, of course, I was staggering up towards the house, and he came to the door, and he would not let me in the house, and he said, that you're always drinking, you're drunk. He said, I want you to go home and not come back till after you're sobered up. And needless to say, that was the last time I seen my dad till after I sobered up. And he told me that day that I remember so well hearing him say that you're going to die drunk. That's what's going to happen to you. And needless to say, that didn't happen. And that was towards the last of my drinking, but I don't know exactly how close it was. I don't know till I sobered up. But I know one Saturday, this was 2 months afterwards. I'm not sure. I don't even want to say. And one Saturday, alcoholic Sid Swartz. I know you guys knew him, some of you. He came there and had another recovering alcoholic with him. And at that point, I mean, I didn't even know the last of my drinking. I didn't even know if the sun was going down or coming up. I didn't know what time of the week it was. It was just, I could say I just took a leave of absence of the human race is about what I did. And so that Sid Swartz, another alcoholic, came there, and he said, we want to do something for your drinking. And that always made me mad if somebody talked to me about it, but I didn't care. And finally he said, I want to take you to the Washington House. And he said, they will help you with your drinking. And I thought, well, I'm just tired of the whole thing. I know that Saturday morning, it was that same Saturday morning before they come, I came to that morning and I knew I was just about out of alcohol and I had to go get some more. And I was laying there thinking that I just can't do this anymore. I just can't do it. I can't live this way. And I was going to kill myself, and I already had the rope, and I went for the barn, and I was going to do it. And before I did it, God works in mysterious ways. Looking back, He was working in my life. He did for me what I could not do for myself. And I wasn't in the barn a couple minutes till a vehicle pulled up, and that was Sid Swartz. And he was a recovering alcoholic, and he said, I want to do something about your drinking. And he said, I want to take you to the Washington House, and they'll help you with your drinking. And, you know, I started thinking, I thought, gee, I need a vacation. And here I'm going to the Washington House, and I thought, maybe I'll even see the president, and I can sit out. I honestly didn't know. I did not know. And I thought, I can sit out there in the lawn and drink beer and just have a nice vacation that was way overdue. And so I said, okay, I'll go. And I had no clue where I was going. And that was the beginning of a new beginning. And so that first day, I had to go to Dr. Swag's office, and he checked me out. And he asked me, how much do you drink? And I said, oh, a couple beers a day. Come on, who goes to treatment for drinking beer? And just a couple beers a day. I mean, it just didn't dawn on me. And after a couple days, I started asking, well, when are you going to give me a drink? And they just say, not today. And that happened a couple times, and it just kind of started dawning on me that I'm in the wrong place. And, anyhow, I don't know how long I was there till I went into a coma. I went through DTs first, and I remember the DTs, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I mean, I seen some horrible things. I seen airplanes fly upside down, and I seen pink elephants. I just seen it all, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And after, I don't know, so long, I went into a coma, and they said I was in a coma for 3 days, and Dr. Swag, the staff told me afterwards that the staff wanted to move me to the hospital, and he told the staff, he said, he's not going to make it anyhow, let's let him die right here. And you know, sometimes I think I got another chance at life, and I hope I can make some pretty good decisions this time. And it's just, after I came out of a coma, I had trouble sleeping, and there's this one black gal that worked in there by the name of Vivian. And she'd come back there and said, you still awake? And there's a couple nights that she took me to the kitchen, gave me a glass of milk, and she told me one time that you're too good of a guy to die drunk. And then she started telling me about her episodes. She told me she was a skid row. I mean, she lost her family. She lost everything she ever owned, and that's just the way I went with me, because I lost everything I ever owned, and I was bankrupt in every area of my life. And so she was telling me that she had a good family, a husband and family, and she lost them, and that she was locked into prison for a long time, and she lived in cardboard boxes. And you know, I couldn't relate to that. I thought, well, that's not me. I didn't do that. And well, I had a yet list. You're eligible too. And many nights she'd come back there and say, let's go to the kitchen, and she'd talk, and she was started telling me what all she has gotten since she sobered up. And I thought, gee. And she said, and I even got my family back, and I thought that would have been real nice. And that's same with me. I lost everything. The family, I was bankrupt in every area of my life, and things. Uh, After 30 days, it was a 28-day program. I was there 30, and I came home, and I was scared to death to go back out in the real world. I didn't know what was out there and what to expect, and so I started living my day sober, and I know many times I thought, I'm never ever going to have fun again because they took all my fun away, and I don't have nothing to look forward to. And this has been the best years of my life. I could not even tell you what all the good things that happened, but I got home, and it wasn't too long afterwards. I was to a Burn Saturday night meeting, and Bill Tavel was there, and I was scared of him. I didn't know him. And I had a temporary sponsor there in Fort Wayne, and he kept telling me, you got to get a sponsor from that area. And I didn't know who to ask or what to say, but finally one Saturday night I asked Bill, I said, would you be my sponsor? And he looked at me like I was asking for $1 million. And I said, but one thing, Bill, I was different. I said, one thing, Bill, I'm not going to do the steps. And I said, I just need somebody to talk to. And he looked at me and said, Joe, you want to do it the AA way? And I said, yeah. And I knew I was fast then, and he finally got me to start working the steps, and we'd done the first 3 steps, and the first step is about getting honest, I know the first step only mentions alcohol, the rest of the 11 are about living, and anyhow, we did the first 3 steps, and he said, I told him I'm not going to do the 4th step. I just not. And he said, yes, you are. And he walked me through all the steps, and I finally did the 4th step, and I thought, if I got to do it, I'm going to do it right. And I had a big ego problem. It says, made a searching and a fearless moral inventory of herself. And I wrote all kinds of crap on there, and I took it to Bill, and I said, hey, I got my 4th step done. And he said, you do? And he looked at it, and he just crumpled it up and tossed it in the corner, and he said, that was one big ego trip. And I was really mad at that time. And so I did another 4th step, and I'd done it. I did a searching and fearless moral inventory of herself, and I just did it the right way, and I took it back to him, and he looked at it and said, that's a good, he said, you did it real good. And then we did the 5th step, and I cannot even explain tonight how I felt after I did a 4th and 5th step. I mean, I felt so light and carefree. And then he took me on to the other steps. When I got to the 6th step, I was ready for him to remove my shortcomings. And then I made a list of people I had harmed, came willing to make amends to them all. And I started making my amends to my family. And they did not accept. They just threw shit in the face. And one of my one of my siblings said, "What you gonna say next?" I mean, it took a long, long time for them to trust in me and believe in me. And anyhow, I went crying to Bill. I said, I made my amends, and they did not even accept it. And he looked at me and said, "Where in the big book does it say that they have to accept it? It says you make them amends." And after I did my fourth step, he asked me, "Do you believe God forgave you?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "You carry the load of a moment, not a lifetime." He said, "That's stuff that's junk that you don't have to carry anymore." But then he said, uh, "But never forget where you came from." And so did the steps, and like the 12 step, to carry the message and to practice these principles in all of my affairs. You know, today I don't practice these principles in all my affairs like I should. My sponsor's here tonight, Mike, and he's been a real good sponsor. And he's the type, he says what he means, but he doesn't say it mean. And when I talked to him about maybe not practice these principles in all my affairs, he'd say, just do next best. And so I kept working the steps. And the last time I talked to Bill before he died, I told him, I said, "What am I to do after you're not here anymore?" And he had that weak, very weak voice, and he'd usually call me Sonny. He said, "Sonny, just carry the message." And that's what we still do today. And I know I made my amends to my dad, and he didn't accept it. Really, he just kind of snickered. And to my wife and kids, I made them amends, and the kids, they kind of they was hoping, they had hope that they'd have their father back. And it's been a journey, and there's so many things. I was only sober 6 months. The company that I worked for was 18 years. I told them that I'm quitting. I was renting their house, and their house was too small, and just small living quarters. And my boss said, asked me why I'm quitting. I said, we need a bigger house. But I told him I enjoyed working for them, and he said, "We got a new man on the job now," and he said, "We don't want to lose you now." And he said, "Just hold on." Next morning he came to the chicken house, and he said, asked me if we'd build onto that house, would you consider working for us? And I said, "No." I said, "At this point in my life," I said, "I want something of my own." And then he left, and he came back again and said, "Joe, I got a deal I want to make you." He said, "I'll sell you some land here, and we'll build you a house in the barn, and after everything's done, you can get a loan and pay us off." And I said, I can't get a loan." I said, "The bank knows of my history," and I said, "They'll never accept that." And he said, "I think they will." And after just being 6 months sober, that was a big one. And so he came back some other time and he said, I went and talked to the bank and they said they will give you a loan. And we went to the bank and it was exactly 100,000 that I borrowed from the. And the thing is, in little less than 8 years, I had that all paid off. And I was feeling good about myself, but just things happening too fast, and I thought, it just can't. And that's just the way it was, just things happening. And I got very active in the program. And the thing is, I gave leads, and like there's so many things, good things happen. Me and Gary and to my sponsors, we went to Dr. Bob's house one weekend, had a lot of fun, and went to Anderson. We went to a lot of different anniversaries, and we really had a lot of fun. And it's just today I got so many friends, and like what I call good friends. 3 guys from Bluffton came tonight to support me, and they're very dear friends. Deb from Decatur, and my sponsor, and a little over 16 years, I borrowed money to a guy, loaned money to a guy. He was my sponsor, and I was dumber than he was because I gave him the money. But anyhow, he filed bankruptcy, and I lost close to 50 grand that time. And of course, my sick mind, I said, if that's what this thing, if this is what AA is about, I don't want no part of it. But remember, I wanted to drink, and I wanted to drink bad. I wanted to drink more than I wanted to stay sober. So I went back out, and I was out for about 2 weeks. And that was the worst time in my life. It's actually worse the second time than it was the first time, because I kept looking over my shoulders and afraid some AA person is going to see me, and it was horrible. And so I checked myself in again, and I'm just going to back up a minute before I forget it. I made my amends to my dad, and we finally got on the talking terms, and we became best of friends. He was my father. I loved him to death. And my mom died in 2000. I had a lot of death in there. 2000, my mom died. And 206, my dad died. 209, my dad-in-laws died 28 days apart. And then 213, my wife died. And I'll never forget that, the love that outpoured from these rooms. I mean, it was just like an AA funeral. I mean, there's people there from all over. And they'd come and shake my hands. And when my wife was so bad, Mike, my sponsor, he a lot of times he'd just come to the porch and say, "Is there anything I can do for you today?" And he'd give me a hug and said, "If you need anything, holler." And that I heard that so many times when my wife was sick, that people came and offered something to me. And this is such a loving and caring program. I mean, the love just it's just phenomenal what this love is about. Anyhow, me and my dad, we after Mom died, I would go there and we'd talk like beforehand. Like I say, we would never ever talk about your feelings. You didn't laugh much. You didn't, and you just didn't talk about your feelings. And after Mom died, we'd talk hours on end, and we'd talk about our feelings and how he felt and how I felt. And he would ask about my drinking, how that And I told him, I don't know, because I'm an alcoholic. I drink like an alcoholic. And I said, if I take one drink, it's that phenomenal craving, and it just don't stop. It just, and so if nothing happens and I don't drink till April the 1st, I'll have 19 years again. I had 16, and I'll have 19 in April 1st. And you know, I've done things different. First time I walked into the meeting after I came back, uh, Bill seen me come and he got up and he walked towards me and he gave me a big hug and said, "Glad you made it back." He said, "A lot of people don't." And then he told me that you broke every rule in the big book. He said, and that's don't drink. But he said, if people would have gave up on me, he said, had my first meeting in 1951, and I didn't sober up till 1973. And he said, if people would have gave up on me, I'd be dead long ago. And so then he died, and I got me another sponsor, Leroy Jesfield, and Deb knows him. And he was my sponsor for over 5 years, and he was also very good, and Mike, he's a very good sponsor. We talk a lot, and I was telling him that I was behind the barn when God divided the patients, because if I want something, I want it now. And but it's getting better. I'm doing lots better on that, and there's so many things that happened, and I can't mention everyone, but it's just the love of the program. I can't get over. It's an unconditional love. I mean, anybody does anything, and I'll get time to shut up. And I got a God today. My God is my higher power. I mean, it's not the God shelf I had. I mean, I don't put him on the shelf today, and he's a loving, caring God, and he loves everybody the same. I mean, when I first came in, I knew I was condemned, and I know for the way I lived, I thought God condemned me, and today I know different. I got a loving and caring God, and he does for me today. And in the morning, when I get up, that's the first thing I do is ask God for his help. And at night I thank him, and he likes to be thanked. And my God's also my doctor. Uh, and these 12 suggested steps are my prescription, and you people are my medicine. So if I go to my doctor and get my prescription and take my medicine, I got a good chance of staying sober another day. And if nobody told you today they loved you, I do.
Thank you, Joe. Been a while since I heard you. Yeah, you mentioned a little bit about Terrell. He was a character. Anybody that knowed him, and he helped me out a bunch too. And I think you was a pallbearer, wasn't you?
No.
Oh, okay. I know me and Gary was. I didn't know. I thought maybe you was. Okay. But yeah, I miss that guy. We had a lot of fun. You can say all you want until you met him. You know what we was talking about. He was something else. My wife said he was a pervert, but I never seen that part. He was a dandy. He was a dandy. She did. I thought, oh, we ain't no pervert. Whatever. Yeah, it's customary. Pass it around. Anybody got anything they would like to say to Joe or talk to him after the meeting? I don't care.
Yeah, I love you too, man. That was the first I love you guys are all day long. I just wanted to mention love you too, I guess.
Thanks, Bobby. Thanks, Bobby.
Mike alcoholic.
Mike.
Wow. Wow. What a lead. Thanks for the, as soon as I walked in the door, I seen you, I says, that's gotta be our lead. Cause I never seen him here before. Just the way I know Leo, I said, you're gonna get a different lead that I didn't hear before. But, that's what I needed to hear. Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Mike.
Steve, alcoholic.
Steve.
Thanks, Joe. That was really good. One common thing I heard you say quite a bit was you just didn't care. And I had that happen to me as well. And I lost plenty of girlfriends over my drinking, and I just didn't care about the consequences. And I can't say enough about the fellowship in this program and all the people that share with all their love that they give out. And it doesn't matter who you are, how much you screwed up, everybody still cares about you and loves you. And I know when I came into the program, I was a little bit wacko, and people still accepted me. So good lead, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Tom, alcoholic.
Tom.
You said you didn't give a good lead when you first came in. That was a pretty good lead. I'm glad I was here. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom.
Tom.
Richard alcoholic.
Richard.
Thanks, Joe. The one thing that got me the most is when you're talking about when you went back out and you were looking for you thought people were watching you from AA. I went through that. I got sober in 2009, and I stayed sober for about 4 years. And I went back out because I stopped going to meetings. I stopped doing everything that's suggested in these rooms. Gave up my commitments, all that fun stuff. And yeah, I thought people from AA were going to come to the bars and be policemen or whatever. And, you can't drink. You're in an AA meeting this morning. And I believe one time I went to a bar and right after an AA meeting, and I told the people at the bar that I had gone to an AA meeting that morning, and they pretty much told me to get out. So that's what I was thinking of while you were talking. It was a really good lead. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks,
Richard.
I'm Brad, I'm an alcoholic.
Brad.
Joe, I think I've met you a few times, and there's something about you. You just always seem like you're real serene, and you have this peace about you whenever you talk. Fantastic lead. I could relate to about everything you talked about in there, problems with your dad and everything. But the thing I love the most is how you stressed it's progress over perfection. You know, even as much time as you have in sobriety, you said that you're doing the next best thing, even though you're not doing it perfect. That hit home with me. That's what we're all about. I just want to thank you for your lead. I really got a lot out of it, Joe, and you helped me tonight.
Thanks, Brad.
I'm Gary, my alcoholic.
Gary.
Congratulations for taking COVID, Bobby. Keep coming back. Well, Joe, we go back a long way. And I think one of the best things I ever heard in Alcoholics Anonymous, don't let anybody chase you away from the rooms of AA. Principle before personnel. We don't like everybody here, but we gotta love everybody. We're all suffering from alcoholism, and I heard that early in my program. I'll tell you what, I never forgot that. I was always one of those guys, if I didn't like somebody there this way, I judged the whole thing. I'm just glad I met your first wife, Edna. She's a good lady, and you're a good man. You got a good sponsor, you know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. You need some direction. That's all. Love you, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
I'm George, I'm an alcoholic.
George.
Thanks, Joe, for being our friend. I say, you stick a hand up, shake his hand, you get a hug every time. And you got a great wife too, so it's nice to have the support. So we see you, we see her. So we love that stuff. So thank you much, buddy. Great job.
George.
George. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Mike.
Never heard your story before, George, or Joe, and that's one of the reasons I'm down here, and the fact that you and I have become friends. I haven't known you all that many years, but the first time I met you, it was like I've known you for a long time. And the unconditional love that you were talking about is, like you said, George said, is that you don't get a handshake from Joe, you get a hug. And I'm a big hugger too, so, yeah. Like I said, your story, enjoyed it, got a lot from it. Thank you.
Mike?
Thank you, Mike.
Jerry alcohol.
Jerry.
Jerry.
Yeah, Joe, I heard you many years ago. God, that's good to see you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Jerry.
I'm Joni, I'm an alcoholic.
Joni.
Thanks, Joe. I love being in a meeting with you. And when you were talking about the DTs, I don't know, you made me think of Gay, because Gay always had that in her league. I'm all about some things. Anyways, yeah. And, so I love to think about her. And, yeah, losing a sponsor is not an easy thing in this program. But there's a lot of people that are still here to love us. And I love you, and I'm so glad I was here tonight. And I'll pass.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Tony.
What's got, Mike?
Well, let's pray.
He'll be on the way home.
Do you have something to say, Mike?
No.
Oh,
I told him I'd do it on the way home.
okay.
I had to plug you.
Get in there, John. There we go. Not that damn big, John. Lost our battle, John.
Go ahead, Joe.
Whose father?
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Keep coming back, it works, it works.
Thank you.